Welcome to another segment of Education Television. Today, we'll be focusing on educational philosophy. And educational philosophy is about communicating what we believe we can achieve within our profession. As teachers, we can positively or negatively impact students' experiences, which can help to shape their values and beliefs. We must choose whether we want our students to become a reproduction of society's current norms, or if we want to transform our students' thinking so they are equipped to flourish in the diverse world we live in. Talking with pre-service teacher Darcy Summers, we explore how she began her own educational philosophy journey. Over to you, Darcy. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Creating my educational philosophy has forced me to reflect on my own values and the kind of teacher I would hope to one day be. I understand that I can guide students' direction of thinking, but what path do I even want to take them down? John Dewey, Bell Hooks and Nell Noddings are three philosophers that I believe hold great values and ideologies about the purpose of education, teaching pedagogies, and the impact we can have on students. Dewey believed that the social and moral nature of schools should serve as a community, where it allows students to grow and take part in democracy. This was in disparity to the current system that reflected more of a factory, where students were products of bland and repetitive methods of teaching, which had no connection to any social or ethical content. Rather than alienating students and making no relationships between their experiences and the knowledge learned, we must unite the two to encourage their engagement on social issues and provide students with skills to act on them. Dewey suggests the only true education comes through the stimulation of the child's powers by the demands of the social situations in which he finds himself. Dewey's ideas support the first three standards of the Australian Professional Standards for Teachers: know students and how they learn, know the content and how to teach it, and plan for and implement effective teaching and learning. Using teaching strategies that create meaning and engage students in critical thinking is done through the integration of their virtual backpacks. Bell Hooks also highlights the importance of student-related learning, however, focuses more on education as a practice of freedom. She believed that teachers should provide an environment where students can experiment with change and draw out individual qualities of each classroom. Her philosophies are also based on the notions of inclusion and how all people have a right to education. Our society is extremely diverse, and there have been many patterns of restriction that marginalise heterogeneous groups. As teachers, we must recognise the power we have to either reproduce or transform these patterns. We must respond to diversity appropriately and consider how factors such as socio-economics, gender, religion, and race can affect people's educational pathways, life experiences, and opportunities. By being aware of ourselves, we can teach in a way that is non-discriminatory towards our diverse range of students. Teachers must have a goal to educate students on how to reject sexual, racial, and socio-economic barriers within the classroom to gain freedom within their own education and life. Hooks best describes it as, to teach in a manner that respects and cares for the souls of our students is essential if we are to provide the necessary conditions where learning can most deeply and intimately begin. To teach students of diversity effectively, we must recognise ways differences are made to matter, have high expectations of every student, create positive relationships between students, peers, and the community, appreciate cultural identities, and intertwine diverse sources into the curriculum. Finally, Nell Noddings recognises that teachers play a powerful role in forming a student's ethical self and creating their own moral compass. She places importance on caring within the classroom and creating strong, empathetic relationships with students. In order to teach a child to care about issues in their world, we must firstly show them what care is. As we use a pedagogy of care and nurturance within the classroom, we begin to model the behaviour for our students to do so for others. Noddings proposes that, as we build an ethic on caring and as we examine education under its guidance, we shall see that the greatest obligation of educators inside and outside formal schooling is to nurture the ethical ideals of those in whom they come in contact. Through deep analysis of those three philosophers and their ideas, I have been able to form the basis of my own educational philosophy. I believe that education should be a source of liberation and freedom, where it is a safe place for spontaneity, transformation, and discovery. The purpose of education for me is to allow students to contribute to the notions regarding their own learning and make their own ideologies through critical thinking, without having to conform to indoctrinated norms of society. Social barriers should be eliminated through education where all students are included and minority groups are not marginalised. Forming a pedagogy that highlights creating caring relationships with students where we engross ourselves in the child's personal situation to try and truly understand how to respond to their needs. Following a holistic and progressive pedagogy, we will allow the focus to be on the well-being of students so that their learning can thrive. Teaching a curriculum that students can relate to will intrinsically motivate them to want to learn. We should bring about opportunities for students to participate in learning by incorporating their interests and values, so they can make connections between social experiences and knowledge. In order to challenge the stereotypical perceptions of society, we must acknowledge our word of difference and celebrate diversity within the content we create and the text we show. Thank you. Wow, Darcy, thank you so much. Tune in next week, folks, for Teachers and Algebra.